Need money for the holidays? Well, you could get money now with an H&R Block Emerald Advance. Bring in your latest pay stub and you could get an Emerald Advance line of credit for up to $1,000. No W-2 required. Just visit one of the local offices in Whitley City, Oneida, Jacksboro, La Follette, Sparta, or Cookeville. And get your Emerald Advance today. And remember, never settle for less. H&R Block. South Fork Antiques and Treasures is not just another antique store. They deal in only hand-picked, quality antiques, reminiscent of a time gone by. If you're looking for beautiful antiques or a unique gift idea, your first stop should be South Fork Antiques and Treasures, south side of Oneida on US 27 in the old Pemberton General Store. That's South Fork Antiques and Treasures. Value Mart Furniture and Appliance is your home for quality name brands at an affordable price. As a Brand Source member, you can expect quality name brands such as Catnapper, Serta, Jackson Customizable Furniture, and much, much more. With financing and layaway options available, come to Value Mart Furniture and Appliance. Just off US 27 behind the Scott County School Bus Garage, that's Value Mart Furniture and Appliance. Whether you're in 4 wheels or 18, Reed's Record Service is your best friend in your hour of need. Located in Hellewood, Tennessee, a new location coming soon to Campbell County, Tennessee, just off I-75, exit 141. Let Reed's Record Service get that vehicle where it needs to go. Reed's accepts Geico, Cross Country Motor Club, AAA, Allstate, and most major credit cards. You never know when you need a tow, so keep this number on your speed dial, 423-569-6259. That's Reed's Record Service. Are you looking for that special something for that special someone? Look no further than Young's Jewelry. Fine quality jewelry, such as the Kelly Waters Collection, lifetime warranty starting at $24 and up. Whether you're looking for wedding bands, watches, gifts, or something special for yourself, look no further than Young's Jewelry, 258 South Main Street, Oneida, Tennessee. We are back. I'm here with my guest, County Executive of Morgan County, Mr. Don Edwards. Brother, it is a pleasure to have you on the show this evening.
Thank you for having me. It's a blessing.
Now, how long? Now, we talked about this a minute ago, but how long is it that you've been county mayor out there? Now, see, we got to remember, everybody in Morgan County already knows you, but you're also talking to 4 other counties right now too.
Right.
And how long has it been since you've been county executive out there?
Newly elected in 2010. So September 1st, 2010, I took office.
All right. Now, how's it going for you so far out there, brother?
Oh, everything's going well. Everything's going well. It's a learning process in the political scene. I've never been a politician, or I'm not a politician, and but we're learning to maneuver and by the grace of God to strive to do what's right.
Well, brother, the world doesn't need politicians. You only need a politician to get elected. You got to be the leader after that.
That's it.
That's what we're looking for. It'd be nice if we had one of them in the big office too.
we need leadership everywhere. And one thing that sometimes we neglect, we have to have people that will follow the proper leadership.
Yes, absolutely.
We have leadership in some areas in our country, in our counties, but if we're not willing to follow, if we don't have folks that are willing to follow and do what's right, then we're not going to have any effect.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You know, and we're getting to a point in this country, it seems like nowadays, where things are just getting so out of hand because people have taken the wrong course for so long they're accustomed to it.
That's the truth. And you know, I heard a statistic that 42% of Americans considered themselves to be conservative,
right,
and only like 25% consider themselves to be liberal. And my take on that is we have some people that think they're conservative and they're not. Yeah. We have some people that don't think they're liberal, you know, because I think we have a much more imbalance there than what we show today.
Oh, I agree. Well, you know, and you also too, you look at what it's a definition of conservatism, and then they want to to be able to justify how they're still conservative. They bust it apart and say, well, I'm a fiscal conservative, but I'm a social liberal, or vice versa, or they want to be socially conservative, or you know what I mean, and it just it's. So that we just try to redefine things, and it doesn't really make any difference. Sure. You just are what you are.
Well, and I'm willing to take a fiscal conservative, you know, or a social conservative. I'm willing to take that. But a lot of times we say that we're something, and then when it boils down to the nitty gritty, we prove ourselves to be something other than what we sometimes think we are. And a lot of times we fool ourselves.
Right, you know, and I spend a lot of time on this show right here, and you probably agree with me. I'm not into the Republican and Democrat debate so much, but I am into the understanding of what makes you think. Are you conservative or are you liberal? And that makes a big difference in how you think about things and how you approach things. You know, I mean, the liberal mindset to me has been destructive to this country, which liberal is when we talk about liberal, it's of this time. Liberal back in Jesus' day might have meant something totally different. Exactly. You know what I mean? So people have to understand that.
Exactly, and we are all liberals in some sense. We are liberals in helping the needy. We're liberals in wanting to support certain movements and those type of things. But liberalism today and conservatism basically boils down to what is it that you want the government to do for your society.
Right, right.
And today we have a $15 trillion debt in this country.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we have a debt commission that's wanting to cut $1.2 trillion off of it in the next 10 years. The only problem with that is the debt grows 10 more trillion by the end of in 10 more years. So we're still at a $25 trillion debt in this country, which that's not sustainable. We won't make it that far.
No, there's no way. There's no way. I mean, you're looking at these things going on with Europe. And I actually have a neat article, and I'll bring it up after we do our next commercial break. I'll show you this article, and it's something that's interesting, talking just about what you was just talking about right there. And what it was discussing was how that, you know, we got one side over here wanting to expand government to make it bigger to take care of our. I don't see how that common sense. How does that take care of your debt problem? And the other side cutting spending. You know, but honestly, the hard facts of the matter is it's going to take a little bit of both. Probably it's going to take. You got to have revenue, and there's only three ways that you gain revenue, and that is cut spending, raise taxes, or expand.
Exactly.
And unless America wants to gird up its loins and go conquer some other countries and take over their oil, we're going to have to do one of those other two things.
Exactly, and basically our fiscal conservative says that we need to cut back, and let our economy grow so that we grow out of it, and our GPA grows, and the goods and services expand at a faster rate than what our debt does, and therefore we pay down the debt in that process. But that's not in the foreseeable future, as far as from what I see right now.
Yeah, and whichever way, and folks, don't get this understood. Whatever we do, it's going to hurt. We got to fix this, and it's not going to be painlessly fixing it. Everybody's going to have to buck up a little bit, and it's going to hurt somehow. You know what I mean? Whether it be in cuts, which I'm a cut person. I believe we spend way too much money. We got to control our spending is out of hand when it comes to the national government. I mean, it's just every other day there's a new program, and then on the other hand, you know, there's some areas too where we got large factions of our country pay no taxes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, even if it was just fair, where they pay just a little bit.
Well, it's like this, Lucas. If we have a $3.7 trillion budget in this country, and we are going in the whole 1.2 to 1.5 trillion every year.
Wow.
That means that our income, our outgo is exceeding our income.
Yeah, and that's
going to be our downfall.
It doesn't work in our house. Why would it work in our country?
If we let that go, then that's going to be, and that filters down. And somebody might say, well, what's this got to do with Morgan County government or Scott County government, McCreay County government? Well, it has a lot to do with everybody. If our national our national security, our biggest problem is our finances in this country, our economy. And if for some reason, if that collapses, then, you know, we're not immune from that. Our counties get a lot of money that from the federal level that's filtered through the state, which comes down to our counties for things, for example, like highways. Right. And highways in our county, in Scott County, is a huge issue right now, because it's one of my feelings is that that's one of the reasons for the lack of development, economic development in Morgan and Scott County, is because we are about 40 years behind a lot of the areas around in the development of our state and our U.S. highways in this country.
Right.
And you know, most of that money comes through our fuel tax that we tax, and it's, you know, it comes from the federal government, because they collect that tax and they send it down to the states and to the local municipalities.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's like you said, it's a filtered down system, which is the way it needs to be set up for that purpose. But I'll tell you, when like you said, when that national dollar collapses, if people say it don't affect them, then look at the unemployment rate. Look at how many people you know personally in your area, around your neighborhood, that are right now hurting for a job, that are hurting for, you know, and you know, and I do feel for you guys that are in positions like county executive and stuff like that, because you're in a position to where you're waiting on this national government to do something so that it gives you more options to be able to help your local community.
Exactly.
And seeing what's happening is when that national level's not got anything to give to the state, and the state's got not anything to help the county with, then it ties everybody's hands. So you've got a situation there where when the dollar's down, there's just not jobs being created. If you want industry does not function just in any one county. Industry is nationwide, worldwide.
Exactly.
And it requires a global market to be able to sustain it.
That's true.
So you want to have a big factory put in Morgan County, so to speak, that's going to create a whole bunch of jobs for Morgan County residents.
And we do.
And you've got those, but the more of those you're going to have, that means you've got to have a national global market that's thriving to support a factory in your community.
And that's where our national government comes in at, because, you know, we have this idea about free trade, and that's a really something that's really to be sought after. But our country doesn't need free trade; it needs fair trade.
Yes.
See, because we have an imbalance in trade with countries like China, and it's simply because we're playing a ball game, but both of us have a different set of rules to play by. And that can only be addressed at the national level.
Absolutely.
Local municipalities, state governments, they really can't address those type of issues.
Right. You know, you can address where you're going to put the next stop sign at in town, but you can't really address the, like you said, the major pressing issues. And I'm hearing this not just from you, but from other mayors and other towns and other areas. I talk to folks all the time, and it's the same situation all over the place. They can only work with what they're given. You can only work with what you have. It's either, if you want your county to be able to take care of everything in that county, then it's going to mean that your county's going to have to get taxed to death, and who can live under that when there's no jobs?
That's right. And for example, in Morgan County, the residential property owner bears the brunt of the taxes that the county brings in at the local level. And when we need more revenue, we have to raise the property tax rate to get that revenue.
Right.
And one of the big problems in our area, and this is something that we've spoken about before, is energy policy in this country.
Yeah.
Energy independence, you say, well, what's that got to do with Morgan and Scott counties? Well, what it's got to do with is there is 84 million, that's million tons of recoverable coal just in Morgan County alone.
You can't touch it.
But we don't have miners in there extracting that coal out and taking it to market simply because of oppressive regulations that we have.
At the national level.
At the national level that the states have to adhere to. I mean, they just have to. Our State Department of Environment and Conservation, they have to go by the rules of the EPA. But if some of those things were relaxed, and I'm not talking about dirty air, I'm talking about keep our air clean, keep our water clean, and we can extract that coal and use it in this country. But we have somebody that's in control of our environmental issues at the federal level that never come to the middle class or the working poor's table.
No, the EPA is not considering your family putting food on the table. The EPA is considering some little bird in some little swamp somewhere that probably wouldn't even be affected by what you're doing, but they just want to make sure. So, and they're under so much pressure from the Greenpeace groups, under so much pressure from PETA groups, they're under so much pressure to be lobbied all the time. And really, who is there to lobby against them? You know,
exactly.
They say the people that's going to lobby against them are the coal companies and the oil companies and things like this, and they're made out to be the villains.
They're made out to be the villains, and those are the people that will provide the jobs, good paying jobs.
Well, look at the pipeline that Obama just put the cut on.
Exactly. And I want everybody, if you're listening, to understand, we're not talking about scrapping our environment.
No.
And dirtying everything up and messing our environment up. No, we can extract our natural resources in a responsible way that's going to take care of our environment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, and it would position us. China's doing it. China's not listening to the EPA or any of the environmental kooks out there.
Well, see, and they don't have all those regulations. And China also is a huge polluter of the air.
Oh, I'm sure,
in the globe here that we're all having to breathe. They don't have they have regulations, whatever their communist regime wants to put on them. That's all that they have. You know, and we can play by a different set of environmental rules and beat them at their own game.
And still be benevolent.
If American innovation is turned loose.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, and we have to open up some of the markets that we have to our disposal. Now, I mean, there has been presidents past who have closed some of those markets down for a different reason than environment. They closed it down so that hoping that we would have to be the last one with some resources in our pocket. You know, but you know, it's pie in the sky to sit there and say, well, we're going to go to this new. We're looking for all these new renewables resources, and they're there, and we will eventually get them, and we'll eventually be able to get maybe solar working. But right now, it's just not at that level.
Exactly.
And it could be 30 years before it's at that level to where it could actually sustain our country. So in the meantime, make use of what we've got.
Exactly.
Put people to work. I mean, that's the great way to get people back to work, is just open up those natural resources.
And again, just like you said, Lucas, we're not talking about scrapping the research that we're putting into renewable energies. Let's do that. You know, let's put our scientific minds to work on these problems that we have, but let's don't hamstrung ourselves by saying these coal fields are off limits, these oil fields are off limits, and we're not going to utilize those resources. We want to what we're saying right now is we want to import everything that we get, and that lies the very problem that we have today.
Right, yeah, it does. Well, we're going to get ready to take this quick commercial break, and brother, you want to stick around with us for a little while and talk about this? This is a good conversation. We're gonna come back after these few messages right here, and we're going to come back. We're going to be in the Christian conservative portion of the show, so you guys make sure you stick around. And remember, he that hath an ear, let him hear.